here's what our dashboard ultimately looks like. This is our digital board book for SaaS metrics. You can see across the top, CMRR per customer. I'm not going to get all the metrics because Bob's going to be doing a little bit more, but you can see the change over time, and then the graphics on the bottom. This is what gives executive teams the power to make decisions, but it also, for all of you who are in the finance teams, it makes the job. But when I talk to most finance folks, they want to get out of doing mundane manual work and get into producing strategic insights. And I'm going to transition over now to Bob, talking about how we make that actually happen. So Bob, please.
All right. So as you can see on the slide that we've got up right now, we're talking about how to build a dashboard in a day. And we really use that because I want you to understand how dynamic this is. We looked at the different stages you go through, how your company changes over time, moving through those different phases, and your metrics are going to need to change to track things. Different things take on new priorities within your company. And so this is a dashboard should be something that's dynamic. It changes as you grow. And with that in mind, we built it to be able to be adjusted and changed and even built from scratch by the finance team. It's all configurable so that you get this visibility you need within the company. You can create these dashboards for different roles, which you'll see as I go through. We're going to look at a couple different dashboards, but I'm going to demo how to build these metrics. So we've got those performance cards, those little cards at the top with the up and down arrows. And people ask me, well, what are those? How do I build those? Do I have to get Intacct to build those for me, or Sage Intacct to build those? And the answer is no, you can build these yourself. You can define everything about it right from the beginning. So this is just a little diagram, and it shows how we built I just picked customer acquisition cost here. It was just a simple metric that a lot of people look at. Most people can understand how that affects their business. And so when we look at customer acquisition cost, that performance card is running off of an account group. And that account group is this group of financial accounts from your chart of accounts. And we've got cost of sales for customer acquisition cost divided by the new subscribers, and that gives us CAC for the period that we define. In this case, we've defined prior month in this little screenshot. You could do current month, and you could do prior year, and then you can compare to a prior period, as you can see on the little screen at the bottom. Then in the upper area, we have the cost of what goes into the cost of sales for CAC. And what we have is cost of subscription revenue, marketing and advertising, payroll, and related for CAC. And these are all financial metrics being pulled from the general ledger and being grouped together and dropped into this cost of sales for CAC. Something interesting about that new subscribers, though, that we're dividing against, we're creating this little calculation. New subscribers, as you might imagine, is not a financial measure. It's simply a count. It's a statistical measure or an operational measure. And so what's interesting here is we're doing something with this performance card that a lot of companies do by exporting data into Excel, bring it into a spreadsheet, and then bring in the operational data, run these calculations, and get to these numbers. We do it right inside the system. We grab all this operational information, gets fed into a portion of the general ledger, these statistical accounts. We compare them with or run calculations against financial accounts to get to these metrics. So I'm just going to show you as we move into the product how we build this thing. So if you'll bear with me for a minute as I switch from presentation mode
it's a great
to demo mode.
Well, Bob does that. This is one of the things that's important that we want to stress to everybody is by working with us on it, because you're out of the general ledger, it empowers you as the finance team to have actual auditable finance data with the GL codes off of whatever you posted against it, which is very different from firms that are just bolt-on on the front end or just only use bookings. So this is how you can trust the data. So Bob, back over to you.
Okay, thank you. So now you can see a live view. This is an actual, this is a sales demo company running our production servers in Intacct. And we're looking at just the home page. This is something you might come to. If you hadn't set a new home page, you can define the home page. A lot of people set them up as dashboards. And I'm going to skip over to this other tab here This is that same, or very similar digital board book that we looked at in the screenshot. And you can see that we've got customer acquisition costs here as a little card. But let's say we wanted to build that from scratch. And the first thing we need to do is define that calculation. And so I'm just going to go through and show you how I would define that calculation. I would go into my general ledger, and I would create an account group. And so just slide down, and I'd open up account group. And what I get is a list of my current account groups. And if I wanted to find one, I could easily just type in and find CAC. There's my account group that I was working off of before. This is the one that was created. We're going to create a new one though. And so I'm going to go over here to add. And we're going to add an account group. I want to point out something here. There's nowhere for you to write any scripting here. There's no code to write. This is all configuration. So this is done by the finance team. We don't have to go to IT. You don't have to make a call back to Sage Intacct Technical Services or anyone to get these created. And I'm just going to call this, for simplicity's sake, for our demo here, CAC new. And it's going to suggest a name for the report. I'm going to stick with that. Its normal balance is debit. And down here, it says, what's the structure type? And this says, I could go look up a bunch of accounts and put them in here. In this drop-down, I've got a few options here. I can make it a group of accounts, just straight from my general ledger, from my chart of accounts. I could create a group of other account groups. I could create statistical accounts in this group. I'm going to choose computation, which is what I showed on my diagram, because I have the other ones already built, these groups of accounts. And so I'm going to go in this account group, and I'm going to grab this cost of sales for customer acquisition cost. And I can just go ahead and type ahead here. And so I've got this cost of sales for CAC. And I can select that. And then over here in this calculations operator, it's just real simple math here. I'm going to choose from this drop down to divide. And once that's in there, then I can go over to the account group that I want to divide by. And we define that also in our little, in my little chart. And that was new subscribers. So I'm just going to do a little type ahead here. And I've got new subscribers down here on my list. We'll select that. And it's really that simple. When I display it, I want to show 2 decimal points, a number.
I laugh every time I see
and a unit. I know this is dollars, so I'm going to go ahead and put a dollar sign in there. And that's it. Now, if I wanted to make this do a little bit more with it, I could add filters. I'm just going to scroll down here. I can filter it by department or location, whatever I need to filter it against within my system. And I'm not going to do anything with that because I'm looking at the whole business here. I'm going to go ahead and save this.
Again, just because it's the GL, you can set the dimensions on the codes.
Right.
The finance and accounting team put it in, and then you can segment it down the filters anybody wants to see. We don't want to make this too complicated this time, but it's all there.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I've got this account group that is a calculation right down here now. It's CAC new. So from there, I'm going to jump over to a dashboard. I've pre-baked a dashboard here to get us ahead. It's like a cooking show, right? We get a little pre-baked dashboard going. But I'm going to add this to it. And I'm going to tell you, I have built dashboards in a day, like from scratch. And I know I've been working on this a long time, but it really is this easy. We're going to create a new component to add to this dashboard. When this new component screen comes up, there's a type. I'm just going to choose the performance card from this drop-down menu. Notice I've got chart, general, performance card. I could add another report or a smart link. In this case, we're choosing performance cards. Those are those little cards at the top. And I'm just going to give that the same name we were using just so I can keep track of it. And I'm going to call this CAC new. And from the drop-down menu, again, I can type ahead. Makes it real easy to get through this quickly. And from the drop-down menu, I just go ahead and choose that CAC new. I want to show this as currency. I want it to be whole numbers. I'm going to go off of my consolidated view in this case because I'm in a multi-entity company. And as far as comparisons, you know what? I'm going to look at CAC just like we did on the other one for prior month. I have this drop down for the reporting period. And we're just going to choose prior month here. And then for the comparison below that, I'm just going to leave it set to the defaults, which is I'm going to compare to the same period in the prior period, same prior period. Except something's going to be different here. This says this little arrow here. I'm going to make my arrow. If this goes up, I want it to be red. So when CAC is going down, I want it green. When it's going up, I want it red. And that's just one little indicator there. And so that's it. That's all I'm doing to this performance card. Again, we can do grouping and we can do filters at this level when we're creating the component. But I'm going to go ahead and save this.
You know what, saving, the other thing I love about it is just how easy the GUI is, the UI.
Yeah.
It's just so simple. Okay, please keep
going.
So
off here we have this, now we have this metric right here, CAC new. And on this we've got, one thing that's really important here versus something where you've exported it. I know you can get to this, you can export your financial data, compare, calculate in a spreadsheet with your statistical information and get to this number. But what you don't get is this real-time metric. So if somebody paid a bill for advertising this morning, that's going to be reflected in this metric. So you're going to be able to see, or I guess we're prior months, so we're going to see everything that's going into this metric in real time. And you can define these performance cards to match your unique selling advantage, right? So it's according to your business model at a given time. We've got the visibility for the company. And notice this is my controller dashboard. I also have that digital board book. I've got dashboards for CFOs, for collection managers, for subscription analysis. Whatever kind of dashboard you need, whatever kind of role you have in your company, you can create the metrics to match. As you can see on my controller dashboard where we put this new performance card, I can also bring in any of my reports and charts that I've built. I'm not going to get into demoing how to build reports and charts. We've got whole sessions on that and classes and all kinds of great stuff around that. But you can push them into the dashboard so that the person using this dashboard can see them in real time right away as they log in. And you can make this a login point for a user. And so with that, I'm going to turn the time back over to David and go back to our slides.
Thank you. For those of you, because there's a lot of you on the phone, I hope that just made the point that it always just shines out at me how easy it is. Because all of you, I mean, every great accountant and controller loves their GL, makes their GL their own. So you're intimate, you know the data, and here's how you're just able to present it, and set up the account groups, and then pull the information together, and then there it's on the dashboard for everybody to see. And I know a lot of you probably do it in Excel today, but gosh, to me it's so much easier. The order entry comes in off of Salesforce, it's tied back to the master contract, and then the information's there and you populate it with SaaS metrics real time. It's
David,
gorgeous.
Customers that I talk to a lot of customers. I've talked to a lot of them over the years, and those that are using dashboards absolutely love it. They say it transforms the decision process in their company.
Yeah.
It turns finance from a bottleneck to getting reports to people to this source of information, and it's just free-flowing information to the executives that need it.
Yeah.